Being a superhero isn't easy. You have to be careful to control your powers, you have to worry about your public image, and unless you're Luke Cage, you're probably working pro bono. Would being a villain be easier? I'm Andrew Boyd, and today on Top 10 Nerd, we're looking at heroes who would make even better villains. Some of these heroes have dabbled with villainy, some of them have evil alternate, and some of them are just so powerful that they could destroy the Earth with ease if they ever turned. Let's get started. Number 10. Jason Todd. First appearing in Batman number 357, Jason Todd's Robin was notable for his rage and attitude, often talking back and rebelling against the Dark Knight. During the Death in the Family arc, fans phoned a toll-free number to determine whether or not Jason should die in the story's final issue. The fans voted Jason off the island, and true to their word, DC had Joker beat Jason with a crowbar and then bringing his career as Robin to a tragic close. 17 years later, Jason was brought back as the vigilante Red Hood, who decided to take a more lethal approach to crime fighting, going on a killing spree against Gotham's underworld. So, he went from being the worst Robin to being the best new Batman villain in years. One could make the argument that he was an anti-hero, but I would remind you that in the Battle for the Cowl storyline, he attempted to murder several members of the Bat family and stabbed Tim Drake. He eventually became an anti-hero and was accepted back into the Bat family, but I gotta admit, I think he was way better as a villain. Number 9. Spider-Man. If you were to ask J. Jonah Jameson, he would say that Spider-Man is already a villain. But for the most part, Peter Parker has managed to walk the straight and narrow. He has a notoriously difficult life and would probably have an easier time as a villain. A good example of this that I mentioned in my worst things Spider-Man has ever done list was when he forgot Gwen Stacy's birthday in Amazing Spider-Man number 87. He was suffering from a bad case of the flu that made him delusional, and in a moment of weakness he broke into a jewelry store, ripped open a safe, and took a valuable pearl necklace. He came to his senses and put it back, but this incident does show how easy villainy would be for Spidey if he went down that road. Even his most lethal multiversal counterparts tend to be vigilantes who have decided to start killing their enemies, which, considering how many mainstream universe Marvel heroes kill people, isn't that bad, even though it does feel weird coming from Spider-Man. However, the Earth 15 version of Peter Parker shows just how brutally effective an evil Spider-Man would be. This Peter was a sociopath who used his spider powers to become a serial murderer. He got even worse when he bonded with the Carnage symbiote, racking up quite the body count before he was eventually captured and sentenced to 67 consecutive life sentences. Number 8. Angel. One of the founding members of the X-Men, Warren Worthington III has a large set of feathered wings that give him the ability to fly. Although he initially tried to hide his mutation, he eventually became a costumed crime fighter by the name of the Avenging Angel. He gave up this persona when Professor X offered him a spot on the X-Men, and he became simply Angel. Angel was an on and off again member of the team for years and contributed a lot to the team, but on a pure power basis, all he really had going for him was his ability to fly, although this ability was taken away when his wings were amputated in X-Factor number 14. At this point, the mutant Apocalypse brainwashed Warren and turned him into one of his 4 horsemen of the Apocalypse, the Angel of Death. Apocalypse gave him a set of techno-organic wings. These new wings let him fly higher and faster and also had razor-sharp edges that he could use to attack his enemies. He could also shoot his feathers, which contained a neurotoxin which would paralyze his foes on contact. He defeated the other horsemen in combat, proving that he was the most powerful of them, and was made the leader of the team. Angel eventually became a hero again and was able to keep most of his upgrades, but there's no denying he never reached his full potential before he gave evil a try. Number 7. The Hulk. The Hulk is a misunderstood creature who usually just wants to be left alone, but ends up being attacked by humans or finding himself facing off against a gamma-powered supervillain. Even though he is a good guy, the Hulk does have a habit of causing a lot of damage wherever he goes, and he was eventually sent off-world by the Illuminati to try and prevent him from causing further damage. This resulted in a very angry and vengeful Hulk returning to Earth and taking over New York. Hulk had the city evacuated before he took over, and when Doctor Strange brought a building down on him, Hulk went out of his way to protect the remaining civilians who would have been crushed. Considering how powerful and effective this takeover was, it's a good thing that Hulk isn't the monster that so many people assume him to be. Number 6. Mr. Fantastic. Reed Richards is often called the smartest man alive in the Marvel Universe, and alongside the Fantastic Four is one of Earth's greatest heroes. His ego has often led to him making some questionable decisions, but he has been instrumental in saving Earth from several threats, including Galactus and the Skrull. Despite his heroics, we did witness a spectacular fall from grace for Reed in the Ultimate Comics universe, otherwise known as Earth 1600 1910. The combined stress of the Fantastic Four breaking up and Sue Storm rejecting his marriage proposal caused Reed to snap and blow up his childhood home to fake his death, killing his family in the process. He went on to use aliens under his control to attack the heroes. He was eventually defeated and disfigured by the Human Torch and flung into the negative zone. Reed returned to Earth and took on the identity of the Maker and set out on a twisted quest to make the world perfect. He killed all the Asgardians in an attempt to understand Thor's power and used an antimatter attack to attack Washington, D.C., killing POTUS, his cabinet, and all of Congress. The Maker went on to do a lot of twisted stuff, fighting the heroes of his own Earth as well as the heroes of Earth 616, showing that Mr. Fantastic makes just as fantastic a villain as he does a hero. Number 5. Jean Grey. When Jean Grey was 10 years old, she was playing with her friend Annie. Annie was hit by a car and died in Jean's arms. The stress of this awakened Jean's dormant telepathic mutant powers. She soon met Professor X and joined his school for gifted youngsters and became a founding member of the X-Men. Although she has acted mostly as a force for good, her most notable story is of course the Phoenix Saga, where a cosmic entity known as the Phoenix Force took over Jean's life. The Phoenix eventually became corrupted and became the Dark Phoenix. The Dark Phoenix went on to do some really awful stuff, such as when she absorbed a sun in order to replenish her powers, which resulted in a nearby planet and all of its inhabitants being destroyed in one fell swoop. Now the argument can of course be made that this wasn't technically Jean, but we have since learned that she is actually even more powerful without the Phoenix Force, meaning that she has the potential to be an even more devastating villain if she ever turned for good. Number 4. Superman. Superman is the OG superhero and is beloved as much for his amazing powers as he is for his kindness and ability to inspire hope in the people around him. However, in the Injustice universe, after being brainwashed by the Joker into destroying the city of Metropolis and killing Lois Lane and his unborn son, the Superman of this universe snapped and became a ruthless and cruel shadow of his former self. In a misguided attempt to keep the Earth safe, he took over the planet and became the leader of a totalitarian military government, killing all the villains and anyone who stood against him. When he discovered that the people of Earth no longer loved him but instead feared him, he decided to teach them a lesson in gratitude by trying to destroy Gotham and the rebuilt Metropolis, although he was stopped by an insurgency led by that universe's Batman. We have gotten so many evil Supermans over the last few years, between the Injustice Superman, the Superman from Zack Snyder's Nightmare timeline, as well as evil characters who are clearly based on him like Omni-Man and Homelander. At this point, I'm frankly sick of seeing him portrayed this way, especially as it has been years since he got his own solo film. But these evil Supermen do make you appreciate what the real Superman is capable of and how morally strong he is not to go down this path. Number 3. The Scarlet Witch. Although Wanda Maximoff and her twin brother started out as villains, joining the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants and frequently battling the X-Men, she eventually left the Brotherhood and joined the Avengers, where she became a mainstay member of the team. She eventually fell in love with her Avengers teammate Vision and used her magic to create children for herself. When her children were erased from reality and Vision died, she snapped and attacked the Avengers. She went on to reshape the Earth into a place where mutants were the majority and her father Magneto was the leader. When this fell apart and she became angry that Magneto valued mutants more than his own children, she said the words, "No more mutants," which restored reality to normal, but with 90% of the mutant population being depowered. Wanda eventually returns to the side of good and is working to redeem herself, but given both her time on the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants and the damage she caused after she left the Avengers, one could argue she has performed more notable acts of villainy than heroics. Number 2. Batman. With his wealth and intelligence, Batman could do a lot of damage if he really wanted to. Just look at what Lex Luthor has done with the same. But there are several evil Batmen in the multiverse. For the sake of brevity, let's just take a look at the worst of them, the Batman who laughs. When the Joker of Earth 22 found out he was dying, he decided to go on one last killing spree in an attempt to send Batman over the edge. He killed all the other supervillains in Gotham, as well as Jim Gordon. He blew up several buildings and captured Batman. He forced the Dark Knight to watch as he killed the parents of kidnapped children in front of them before infecting them with the Joker toxin. In order to stop the madness, Batman broke free and broke the Clown Prince's neck. When he did this, the Batman was inadvertently exposed to a Joker toxin, which corrupted his mind and gave him the Joker's sick, twisted sense of humor and murderous desires. This Batman went on to kill the Bat family as well as the entire Justice League before using his evil cunning to take over and destroy his world. He was recruited to lead the group of evil Batmen in the evil cosmic being Barbados' plan to destroy the multiverse, but was defeated when the main universe's Batman did the one thing the Batman who laughs could not predict, and teamed up with the Joker to save the universe. Number 1. Hal Jordan. For many years, Hal Jordan was one of Earth's greatest heroes and the greatest Green Lantern. This changed when the cyborg Superman and the villain Mogul destroyed Hal's home, Coast City. The grief of losing his city and so many people he cared about made Hal go insane. He decided to attack the Guardians of the Universe in order to steal their power so he could restore all he had lost. lost. The Guardians sent a squad of lanterns to meet him, but Hal defeated all of them, stealing their rings to increase his power. The Guardians released Hal's archenemy Sinestro as a last line of defense, but Hal snapped his neck and absorbed the power of the planet's central power battery, absorbing the power as well as the ancient villain Parallax, who was trapped in the battery. This killed the Guardians and destroyed the Green Lantern Corps. He took on the identity of Parallax and became a supervillain who used the power of fear to fight the remaining Lanterns and Earth's heroes in his attempts to restart the universe to try and save Coast City. He eventually saw the error in his ways, broke free from Parallax's influence, and sacrificed himself to save the Earth from the Sun Eater. He eventually was brought back to life and rejoined the Lanterns in an attempt to make up for his past transgressions. He has more than made up for his actions in the time since, but his time as a villain remains one of the most infamous arcs in the character's history. Well, that's all for this list. Any other heroes who you think would make better villains? Let us know in the comments below, and remember to like and subscribe for more Top 10 Nerd.